Some things are just better.
Some things just don't make sense. I said that. One of those things is the sunk cost fallacy and how often we make room for it in relationships. Here's what that means. So sunk cost fallacy happens when people continue a behavior because the resources they have invested, because of the resources they've invested in that endeavor. So the behavior itself is irrational, or can be irrational rather, but it aligns with earlier actions or decisions, and well, so it goes. That's sunk cost fallacy. Having watched Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive, or whatever it's called, I'd always thought that Lady Diana was a role she just had to play. And my parents really loved Her Majesty, and when the movie about her came out a few years ago, we just couldn't book the tickets soon enough to watch it. I don't remember much about the movie, besides the fact that it was so disappointing that my dad left the movie, in the middle of it. And here's the interesting part that stuck with me. My mom and I, all three of us were there. We weren't liking the movie either. Lady Diana's portrayal was terrible. Our seats weren't that good, but we were there, so it's just, you think, I might as well power through, right? And in theory, we agreed with my dad and his decision to leave the movie. However, most times we don't do that. We don't leave, metaphorically, the movie that we're hating. So you just think to yourself, I already got ready. I made time to watch this movie. I drove to get here. I paid the tickets, paid for the overpriced nachos. I'd feel uncomfortable. I already felt uncomfortable just as I was walking to my seat and had to tell 15 different people, sorry, excuse me. So, yeah. And boom, sunk cost fallacy. You stay, you watch the fucking movie. No one's died because they powered through cringy movies or a bad stand-up comedy or a funny video or a friend showed us in their phone, and you have to just look at it and nod. It's fine, it really is. But the thing is, the older you get, I think the older you get, the easier it becomes to articulate your thoughts and beliefs. So here it goes. I believe breaking up should be more encouraged for people in long-term relationships than for new couples. Gasps are heard in the audience. So of course you might decide to end things early because of red flags or some unhealthy patterns or boundaries, or just because you're painfully incompatible. That's a bad word. With your partner. And in the early stages, when you're getting to know someone, we're quick to end things over, misunderstandings, partly because of the sense of security that social media and dating apps give us. They really make us think that someone way better, is very readily available. So it's obviously easier in a way to break up than it was years ago. And misunderstandings are just misunderstandings, but with a partner you've been with for years, if you're always getting in fights or seemingly you're just in different wavelengths, that's not a misunderstanding. And I mean, I'm not a ride or die. If you didn't know, breakups, love them. And you may be thinking, this cynical, love-hating mess who'll die alone without having ever known true love. Who does she think she is? Love is about sacrifice. My grandma busted her ass, did everything for my grandpa, who treated her like shit, and look at them. Yes, they never respect, appreciate, or love one another ever, but they've been together for like 100 years, so And yes, fair enough. Good for them. But I mean, things were way different for our grandparents or parents even than they are for us, thank God. If you haven't unfucked yourself and that's what you want, so be it. If your idea of a good relationship goes beyond Mr. or Mrs. or your partner's right one not being physically or mentally violent, just read on. Well, listen to me. So many times we stay in relationships because of sunk cost fallacy, because you've already invested so much and you can't just up and go like my dad did in that annoying Lady Diana movie. Humans we're creatures of habit. We usually resist change. You may have heard of Mark Manson, the author of How to Not Give a Fuck, if I'm not mistaken. I used to read his blog religiously when I was younger. Still do, but I feel like anyway, irrelevant. So he created a law, let's say, that he calls the law of avoidance, which states that the more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid doing it. So in long-term relationships, you spend a lot of time with your person, you borrow their mannerisms, in a way their thought patterns, their clothes sometimes, and you rest assured at night or when the day starts, and just like the knowledge that someone out there gives a fuck about you at least a little. So my dad leaving that movie he hated and just like waiting for us at the bar as he had a beer, which he really likes. That's obviously not identity threatening, but ending something that has been a very important part of your everyday life for the past few years and not knowing when or if you're going to find comfort and love in another romantic partner. Yeah. The other thing is that the less formed our sense of self is, the more, in a way, we expect the other person to give us what we should be giving ourselves. So security or reassurance or confidence, love, comfort. We find the prospect of ending a toxic relationship anxiety-inducing. Even people with a clear and strong sense of self encounter difficulties because of just how our brains work, in a way. It's irrational to eat food that sucks, that just because you ordered it. It's illogical to keep watching a movie that makes you want to stab yourself in the eye just because you're there, but sunk cost fallacy. And this applies to like bad relationships, friendships, food, movies, jobs, so many things. Things don't get better as time goes by and people aren't right for each other. Sometimes no one's to blame, sometimes someone is to blame, and I'm not pointing fingers. Let me make a disclaimer here that unless you've been in like an abusive relationship that has majorly impacted your ability to tell if someone is or isn't treating you right, and you just like have terrible like trust issues, this may not apply to you. But if you don't, here's my main point that if someone is thinking of breaking up, that's a pretty good sign that they should. Yes, I really believe that. So here's a quote from Lady Diana. She said, I lead from the heart, not the head. That's got me into trouble in my work. I understand that, but someone's got to go out there and love people and show it. So, ride or dies take pride in leading from the heart. In good relationships, though, you shouldn't have to pick between your heart and your brain. You shouldn't have to tolerate mediocre love or being treated like shit or abuse of any kind in a relationship with someone you're meant to be with. And I often hear from people explain why they're staying. It's just like, oh, this is just like a fling or a situationship. It's not, I don't think they're the one. It's just like whatever. And I think this applies to however long you're meant to be with them, whether it's like a day, a week, a month, a lifetime. In the right relationship, there's no need to force anything. You won't get sad for no reason, which is something I've heard often. You won't doubt yourself or your partner's feelings, and you definitely won't be thinking of breaking up. And then here's a step-by-step guide to help you decide whether to stay in or get out of your relationship if you're still unsure. Is a book called Too Good to Leave, Too Bad to Stay, a step-by-step guide to help you decide whether to stay in or get out of your relationship. So if my rose-colored what's meant to be will be talk isn't your thing, definitely understand that. Or if you're still just unsure if what you've heard so far applies to you in any way, shape, or form, I highly, highly recommend this book. And you'll be able to tell if what you have is what you want and deserve, or if you're watering a dead plant at this point. You should be leading from the heart and the head, and it's never too late to leave the movie. Leave the movie if it sucks. So thanks for listening. Bye.